What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into the NFL Championship weekend stream. Pat Fitzmaurice and Matt Perrault with you here on Saturday. I was wrong. I thought it was Sunday. It's on me. I apologize. Hopefully, you guys are all going to pile in here. You can ask us questions today because we'll have a little extra time. Only 2 games left, Pat. Like, we have 3 games left of football. This is horrible. How are you on this Saturday morning?
Doing well, Matt, until you mentioned that we only have 3 games left of football until August. That's a little depressing, but otherwise great.
Sad. Unfortunately, but yes, we got 2 good ones to break down. Looking forward to it. But first and foremost, this live stream being brought to you by Smash Sports. Are you one of the many fantasy sports fans already craving more free fantasy football? Then you have to play Smash Up Fantasy Sports, the fastest growing game out there. Smash Up is everything you love about fantasy football, but with cutting edge gaming vibes, delivering a next-gen experience inspired by your favorite video games. The gameplay is simple but addictive. You set a traditional DFS lineup using a salary cap. You use a second Smash card salary cap to select power-ups that boost your scores for your players. That's it. Your lineups are in the tournament. The salary caps and available Smash cards are the same for all players. So it's all about your skill and strategy, picking the best players and Smash cards possible that fit your budget. And here's the best part. You can play for free and win fantastic prizes. No credit card needed, no hidden fees. All users receive 3 entries per week, but with our code FANTASYPROS, you'll unlock a 4th entry every week through the Super Bowl. Enter now at smashupsports.com. Enjoy the future of fantasy sports. Let's start with the AFC Championship. It is a 3 o'clock Eastern time kickoff in Baltimore, Maryland, Kansas City. It's a number that you're going to look at what book are you looking at? 3.5 open, or 3 at open, 3.5 at Caesars. It's 4.5 at Circa, and that number has stuck there. I haven't seen this, Pat, in a long time, where we've seen 2 books here in town that give you the opportunity to be on opposite sides of a key number. This is going to be a very interesting late line move up to kickoff as to what we see where the money comes in, because there's been a big bet at Circa placed on Baltimore -4, which pushed it to 4.5. Where are you on the Ravens and the Chiefs?
I've got the Ravens, Matt. I like them at -4. I like them on the money line, and I have them on a small bet on an alternate line at -16.5 for +408. I think this number is artificially low, Matt, because the Chiefs were able to handle their business so well against Miami at home and then go on the road and beat a good Buffalo team, dispelling any doubts, I guess, that we might have had about Patrick Mahomes being able to win on the road in the playoffs. But here's the thing, Matt. The Dolphins' defense was absolutely decimated. All of their edge rushers were out, basically all 3 of them. They didn't have Xavier Howard, the excellent cornerback. Last week against the Bills were banged up in the secondary, and they barely had enough healthy linebackers to fill out their base defense. Now they get the Ravens, who have the number 1 defense in the NFL, at least in terms of DVOA, and it's a healthy defense. Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco dealing with turf toe. Sounds like he's probably going to play, but who knows how effective he is, and it's really hard to run the ball on the Ravens anyway. And then Patrick Mahomes' go-to pass catchers are Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice, and I think the Ravens are pretty well equipped to defend both of those guys. Whenever they're in man coverage, Kyle Hamilton, who has become one of the most impactful defenders in the league, is going to be on one of those 2 guys. And then they've also got Marlon Humphrey, who's an excellent cornerback, and Patrick Queen, who's a very good cover linebacker to help out on Kelce. So I think the Ravens match up really well defensively with the Chiefs. I also think they match up pretty well offensively with the Chiefs. Kansas City, very good against the pass, not so good against the run. 5th in DVOA against the pass, 27th against the run. Well, the Ravens are the run heaviest team in the NFL, the only team that ran more than they passed during the regular season. They only passed 49% of the time. So the Chiefs, I believe, have given up the 10th most rushing yards to quarterbacks And here comes Lamar Jackson, possibly the best running quarterback the NFL has ever seen. And then you've got the Massey Peabody rankings suggest that this game should be like 7.5 Ravens if you factor in home field. I checked one of the other ranking systems. I think it might have been Sagarin that suggests this game should be like 6.5. And I don't think those systems even account for how uniquely well the Ravens match up with the Chiefs, Matt. So I think the Ravens are going to win, and I think they could win pretty easily.
That's a really good point. And so DVOA there's always these arguments about, are you guys too into metrics? Are you too into numbers? But this is the best number one ranked all-time defense, DVOA. Okay. I mean, this defense is historic with how good it is.
Yeah.
The other three have all won the Super Bowl that were number one, that the Ravens are better than. So look, it's Patrick Mahomes. I completely understand it. I took 3 as soon as it popped. I have an 11-1 ticket on the Ravens to win the AFC. I don't know how much I'm going to hedge. I will hedge something, but I keep on, whenever I go to buy it, I'm like, I'm just eating into my profit because I really like the Ravens. So this is a team at home that has had all the talk about the 14-2 year and Lamar MVP that did not end in a championship. And it's the year of the Harbaughs. I mean, his brother, Jim wins it. John wants to go and win one too. He's like, hey, if little brother could do it, why can't I do it? I want my second. So let's go. I have a very hard time seeing, and I've been talking about the Hamilton thing all week because I love you brought that up, because I think you can bracket with Queen and Hamilton. You can essentially take Kelsey out and say, all right, somebody else needs to beat me. Now you might go, well, Rice had a really good, couple of games at the end of the year. I think the Ravens are going to be okay with, if you got to get beaten by a rookie wideout, they're good with that. Like, I think they can handle that. And then you've got the pass rush. And look, Mahomes is really mobile and he can move and he can pick up first downs running the football. I get all that. But this is a really fast defense for the Ravens. And they very well might spy them and just go, you know what? We don't think Pacheco is going to be able to run the ball. So we want to make sure you can't run the ball. So now Mahomes, you're not running either. Now what are you going to go ahead and do? This is where it all catches up, and I thought it would all catch up to the Chiefs. That's why I did not think they were going to be able to win multiple games on the road and even go back to the Super Bowl, was because them on the road. Look, 2 teams in the NFL playoffs so far have failed to win at home. One being the Dallas Cowboys, and we know what Dallas is like. And the other is because the ghosts of the Buffalo Bills rose up and pushed that football last week to the right. I mean, everybody else at home has won. I'm going to fade and think that Mahomes is going to go ahead and make it look like, I don't know, 3 years ago. I'm with you. I can't see it. Any prop bets you like in this game a lot?
Yeah. I like Matt, Lamar Jackson, despite taking the Ravens. I've got Lamar Jackson under 210.5 passing yards. Kansas City, as we mentioned, much better against the pass than they are against the run. They've allowed the 4th fewest yards per game passing during the regular season, 197.2, and the 3rd fewest yards per pass attempt, just 6.0 per attempt. Last week, Josh Allen threw 39 passes and still only had 186 passing yards. And look, Lamar Jackson has thrown 27 or fewer passes in 8 of their last 11 games. So they really want to run. Like, Jackson could have a very good, efficient game, much like Patrick Mahomes had last week, where he only threw, I think, 21 or 22 times against the Bills, and still fall short of this number. So I think 200. If Lamar Jackson goes over 210.5 passing yards, Matt, we're probably in trouble liking the Ravens, because that means they're throwing more than they want to throw.
Agreed. I like anytime touchdowns for Lamar Jackson. You can do first if you want. It's plus 550 on the first one, but it's plus money. It's plus 105 on Lamar. There we go. Lamar, anytime touchdown. Yes. I mean, it's plus 105 at FanDuel right now. That number is going to close. You're going to lay juice. So one of the benefits of doing this on Saturday is you're going to get ahead of the public move. It's going to be square. That's a very public bet. It's a good bet to make. I mean, Lamar in the red zone is going to be a huge problem for that Chiefs defense. And I know everyone's talking about where the Chiefs pass rush is going to come from and how they're going to get after. I can't see them getting after and shutting down in the red zone the guy right now who has had a historic year leading his team in both rushing and passing. We've never seen this for a quarterback to make this level to be at the AFC or NFC Championship game where they are the number one rusher and number one passer of a football team. They normally have a rushing attack with a running back and the quarterback together, and then he can throw. This has been an incredible year for Lamar Jackson. And in the red zone, yeah, I like it. Lamar to score. How do you feel about anytime touchdowns? Anybody else you like besides Lamar?
I've not bet any times yet, Matt. I don't know if I will. I'm generally not a big anytime guy, but if I was looking to bet someone, Lamar would probably be one of my first choices.
And I don't mind Gus Edwards either at plus 145. I mean, I think the Gus bus is going to get a lot of, I think you could say that Hill is the guy that's going to get the runs between the 20s. He's the faster scat back. He's the more of the home run hitter type for the Ravens. But then when they get into the red zone, I think, or down low, inside the 5, you very well might be able to get a Gus Edwards anytime touchdown. But I like that a lot. I've seen people say like Travis Kelce's back, that what he did last week, the Chiefs have finally figured it out how to get him the football. I completely disagree. I don't think Travis Kelce's going to get a touchdown in this game. You like an alternative spread. Does that mean you like the under? How many points are the Chiefs going to score?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this, man. Like, I feel like the total is pretty spot on.
Agreed.
I ultimately think the Chiefs scored 20 or fewer points in this game. So yeah, I'm not betting the total in this.
I'm not either.
I'm
not touching it because I can make a case for both. I can make a case if you're right and we like it as a blowout. The Chiefs right now, it's 19.5 is their team total.
Yeah.
So if we go 20 and under, the books are right on line with us, 20 or under. So if they get blown out, like 31-10 is really possible. Like I can easily see they score a touchdown and a field goal, and that's all they're able to manage. The Chiefs, there's 2 trends that everyone's talking about that I think they actually both are going to hit. The Ravens are 14-4-1 ATS in the first half of games this year, and the under is 17-2 involving Chief games this season. Second half under. So you can bet the Ravens in the first half, bet the Ravens for the game, and bet the second half under. And if it gets off to a fast start, you could wait if you want and see how many points you guys have to lay in the second half to come in and bet. But I think that game script is kind of how I think it's going to go. Ravens get off to a lead. Ravens get off to a fast start. Ravens run the football. Ravens shrink the game. They lead at the break, and then nothing really happens much in the second half because it's not just the Chiefs defense that rises up in the second half. The Chiefs offense doesn't do anything in the second half.
Yeah.
Now the pushback on that is if Bass's kick had gone in, both the second half and the fourth quarter, which is 18-1, by the way, with the Chiefs unders, fourth quarter unders are 18-1. That would have hit because it would have pushed it and it would have been overtime or would have been another score would have been needed. And then both the second half and the fourth quarter would have gone over last week, but it didn't. So I don't know. Do you see it being possible that the Ravens score like 40?
Maybe. They want to be run heavy, Matt.
Right?
I think it would probably take some Kansas City turnovers for that to happen. Either like a pick 6, a fumble 6, shorten the field, set the Ravens up on a couple of drives inside the 20. It would probably take some multiple turnovers by the Chiefs for that to happen. But I could very easily see the Ravens going over 30. And now you've interested me. I wasn't going to touch any total in this game, Matt, but now you've interested me in the second half under.
Oh, yeah. Either fourth quarter or second half under. It's really... It's almost a principal play. You can do it pre if you want. If you want to do it pre-flop, you can. If you want to wait till in-game and do it in-game, I'm going to wait to bet it in-game because I want to see what happens. But if we see I want to see a ton of scoring happen in the first half. I would love to see the Ravens be up 28-7 at the break. And then the second half is going to be, that's one. The only worry is that Mahomes will then throw the ball a ton. And then you're getting into picks and, fumbles and, the game might really get away. And that's how you get to the 40-point number for the Ravens. Their team total is 24, by the way, 24.5. So I like that a lot. I may jump in on that with the Ravens scored more than 24.5 points. The weather's not going to be a problem. So we have no concerns about, wind or rain or snow in Baltimore. It's going to be fine for this game. What other prop bets have your eye for this game on Sunday?
Oh, that That's about it.
Okay.
Man. Like I'm hitting the side so hard on the Ravens that
Yep.
you know,
I'm too. I'm with you.
I
I don't have much. I really don't want to do very much. I mean, I'm a teaser freak. I love teasing things, and I think I'm going to be as square can be with just two money line parlay or a money line parlay, and not even touch the teasing. I've already laid the 3, so I've got the best number on the planet, and then I may come back and try to middle it. If this 4.5, Circus Sports is at 4.5, I thought it might be gone quickly. It's still there today, which I'm like, wow, okay, so there's not chief money coming in yet. Like, people aren't running to the window to grab 4.5. That should tell you, if you're a chief backer, that should tell you something. It's only one book, but it's a book that will take heavy action. And that chief bet hasn't hit. Now, it may hit tomorrow, and it may hit before kickoff, and you may see someone come in and really drive that thing back to 4. But you can middle the number 4 by betting Caesars at 3.5 and Circa at 4.5. And in a game with the handle the size of this, that's unbelievable. I mean, that is telling you that the books are, people don't know yet what to do with this, because the Ravens very well might be the side and the chief money might not show up. So I'm not saying the pros always win and they're always right. It's just the opinions in the market are starting to lean heavily towards Baltimore. Yeah. If the Chiefs are going to go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just there is one more prop that I'm somewhat interested in. Haven't made it yet, but I might bet the under on Isaiah Pacheco's rushing yardage, which I believe I want to say was 63.5 rushing yards last I checked.
And his rushing number for Isaiah Pacheco is 61.5.
61.5. I still might go under on that. Dealing with the toe injury. And if you've got turf toe, I mean, Devontae Adams had that a couple of years ago with the Packers. I think he missed like 3 games, 2 at least.
Yeah.
Tough thing to play through. And this Baltimore defense is so good to begin with. And if the game script goes the way I think it's going to go, the Chiefs are not going to be in a position to run the ball 20 times this week.
Just so we're not called haters, if the Chiefs are going to win, what has to happen?
I think they have to win the turnover battle. I think on the season they were maybe -11 on turnovers, so I don't know what the odds are of that. And turnovers are unpredictable game to game. But look, the Ravens probably aren't going to throw all that much, and passing plays tend to be more likely to produce turnovers than running plays are. They'd have to win the turnover battle, and I think Mahomes would have to play an A+ game. And you'd also have to get some heroics from a pass catcher other than Rashee Rice or Travis Kelce. We'd have to see like MVS step up, or Justin Watson hits a big play, or Kadarius Toney comes back from the dead and has a couple of big plays. So, yeah, what are the odds of that happening, Matt? I don't think they're very good.
Small. Ravens money line, Ravens -3, Ravens -4.5, Ravens -16.5. I think the under's in play, but I'm not touching the side. I'm right there with you. Yeah. And then under in the passing yards for Lamar Jackson, rushing touchdown for Lamar Jackson. I think you and I are pretty much seeing the game similarly. All right, to the NFC Championship game we go. But before we do that, if you guys want a chance to win BettingPros Premium with the app, a 1-year subscription to BettingPros, you're in luck. The place to start betting smarter, not harder. You need to subscribe to the BettingPros YouTube channel right now, which is what we're on. Comment underneath the video that we're on right now, and that's it. We will announce a winner right here on that channel for the Super Bowl. We'll tell you next week who's going to win that. So make sure you turn on those notifications so you can be alerted as to when new episodes are up, and you can claim your prize of a 1-year free premium upgrade to the Betting Pros app and bettingpros.com today. Like, subscribe, comment, and you are in. All right, the NFC Championship game we go. This game has seen quite a bit of line movement. 6.5 at the open here in Vegas, 7 elsewhere. I grabbed 6.5 right when it opened. We're at 7.5 at certain places in the world, but not many. Most are back down to 7 as the Lions money has finally showed up. 52 is the total here in this one. Where are you going for the other side? If you like the Ravens, who are they playing in Vegas?
I think, let's face it, most likely the 49ers, Matt, but I'll take the points with the Lions here.
Ooh.
And I do also have a small money line bet on the Lions at plus 250 that I got earlier in the week. I think the 49ers win over the Green Bay Packers expose some flaws that San Francisco has. The Packers had success running the ball, and the San Francisco running defense has not been as impregnable as it was the last couple of years. I think they're
Sure.
like middle of the pack in DVOA, and the Lions can deploy that thunder and lightning running back tandem of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. The Packers also show that you can really pick on 49ers cornerback Ambry Thomas. I mean, they victimized that guy repeatedly last week, gave up a couple key catches, and was called for a couple big pass interference penalties. So I think Detroit can pick on him. And I really think, Matt, this game is going to boil down to how well Brock Purdy plays for San Francisco. Didn't play very well last week, although apparently it's not the first time he's played poorly in the rain. And it is supposed to be dry in Santa Clara this week. The Lions also, I mean, pass defense has been their Achilles heel. They have given up 345 yards or more to opposing quarterbacks in 5 straight games. And 2 of those games were against Nick Mullins of the Minnesota Vikings. So that is where you can pick on the Lions. Their pass coverage is terrible. They do, however, get after the passer. 41 sacks, which was middle of the pack, but they had the highest pressure rate in the league at 28.2%. So Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a key guy in this game. Like, he has to crank up the heat on Brock Purdy. And if he does, if they can shorten Brock Purdy's time to find open receivers and, get some sacks, I think they have a chance to limit the 49ers passing game, because Christian McCaffrey is not going to kill the Lions.
Mm-mm.
The Lions run defense is too good. It's been one of the best run defenses in the league. Like, Christian McCaffrey will get his on the ground for sure, but he's not going to go for 150, 160 yards against this Lions run D. It's just too good a run defense. And then you've got Deebo Samuel, not fully healthy. He's expected to try to play with that shoulder injury, but I don't know, with the physical style he plays, like, what are the odds that he makes it through this game?
Well, he has no designation. He's playing. It's not probable. It's not questionable. He's playing. They've taken that completely off of him. So the question is obviously, decoy or not, is D-Boy going to be actually part of the game plan, or is he just going to be out there to make the Lions think that he's out there? I guess we're going to find out pretty fast, right? We're going to find out, in the first couple of series, whether or not Deebo Samuel can actually be Deebo Samuel. But if he's only like, even 75% of Deebo is still pretty darn good. And if you get a first half and he gets hurt in the second half, maybe you have a lead big enough that you've done enough damage that you can win just because of what you've done in the previous 3 quarters. The stats to bring up here: the Detroit Lions have not played an outdoor football game since December the 10th. I mean, that is an unbelievable run that they haven't played outdoors. And your first response is going to be, Matt, it's 72 and sunny. It's a 3:00 kick Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Absolutely right. It's still outside. Okay. Playing inside a dome is still playing inside of a dome. Playing outside is playing outside. I don't care what the weather is. You're still not on a fast track. You're not in a climate controlled environment. You are outside, the wind, the elements, everything else going into it. 0-5, last 5 games for Jared Goff against the 49ers. That is not good. But the Niners are 0-6 ATS in their last 6 games at home, including that embarrassing loss to the Ravens that they took on the chin at home a couple of weeks ago. So last week, big favorites, didn't cover. I like it under 7. I'm not sure I love it at 7. I'll be frank with it. I'm a little bit concerned with it. I think a money line play is a better bet. That's why I think you can do Ravens money line and Niners money line. It's basically a minus 105 play. I've been saying chalk for 2 months now that I thought this was going to be a Super Bowl matchup, and that's not because of the logo, the Vegas logo here saying, well, it's falling in line with everything else. It's half purple, half red, and that's going to be the Niners and the Ravens in the Super Bowl. My question is, did Brock Purdy get all of the nerves out last week? Like, did he prove something to himself last week by that stat they threw up on the screen about how many times Kyle Shanahan has blown a fourth quarter and not come back? He did it. Shanahan did it. Purdy did it. They came back, they won the game, and they advanced. It wasn't pretty, but winning, I just wonder, does Brock Purdy enter this game now with confidence and say, okay, I've done this now. let's go to work. The Lions secondary is going to get torched. I mean, Kittle,
Probably.
take the Kittle props. I love every Kittle prop. Okay. Every Kittle prop you can find, receptions, yards, anytime touchdown. He didn't look healthy last week. That's my one worry. He was limping around a little bit, but he by all accounts all week, he has said he is good to go and he should be great. What do you make of Brandon Ayuk? Because if they're going to use Debo as a decoy, Ayuk has to step up, does he not?
You would think, Matt, but I thought that last week against the Packers, and it didn't really happen. Instead, we got a lot of Jawan Jennings. We even saw Chris Conley get involved. So, but I think so. I know the total on receiving yardage for Brandon Ayuk is set pretty high, like 83, 84 and a half, something like that.
It's down to 79 and a half now.
It's down to 79 and a half.
FanDuel.
Boy,
yeah.
Considering that, 5 straight quarterbacks have thrown for 345 or more against the Lions, maybe that's a pretty good bet. Considering, right. I don't think Debo is going to be the guy with a 100-yard game unless he just shocks us. So, Brandon Ayuk is probably going to be able to do some business downfield. He hasn't been a big target hog. He's not a guy who typically gets 12, 13 targets a game. It's usually more. I think he averaged 6.6 targets a game this year and was just crazy efficient with his targets. He like 12.8 yards per target this year, I believe. So I like the over. It's not one of my favorite player props on this, but I think Brandon Ayuk probably does have a good day this week. Like the Lions just can't cover.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see some of the movement we've seen, or at least some of the comments. Look, I love the Lions. I love the story. Sam Laporta, you want to jump in on him over 47 and a half yards receiving? Okay. I'm not going to be knocking on that at all. The secondary for Lions fans, and they're all in the chat, and they're all coming at both of us saying, like, look out for the Lions. Although you like the Lions money line way more than me, because I don't like the Lions money line. I don't like dome teams going outside. I don't like Jared Goff against the NFC West. I don't like the fact that this defense is going to get torched by the passing attack. And I think Brock Purdy gets to kind of do his victory lap here and say, like, yeah, for all you haters, look what I just did. Look what I did to the Lions in the NFC Championship game. If the Lions are going to win this game, doesn't it feel like it's a St. Brown like explosion that he has just a monster game and they throw all over this Lions team because everyone thinks they have to run the football, but they do play action and they hit big play after big play?
That would be it. I would expect a lot of a big game for Amon-Ra and maybe a big play or two from big player 2 or 3 from some of the other guys, Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think we could get it. Like, pick on Ambry Thomas. He's terrible.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Raise the Sales pushes back on that and says, once again, passing yards don't matter. It comes down to touchdowns. Red zone defense will be stingy for the Niners. Probably so. I could see that. Yeah. I mean, when we're talking about prop betting, we're talking about not necessarily, where we are talking about in terms of total yardage for a player or two. So I do think you're going to see some opportunities for the Lions. I think the Niners are going to focus in on Gibbs and say, let's make it a Jared Goff game, because eventually Jared Goff will make a mistake. We've played against him numerous times. We know how to how to turn the football over and get a big turnover, late in the game. And I don't think it's a blowout. I do think there's a larger likelihood of the Ravens blowing the Chiefs out than I do seeing the Niners blowing out the Lions. But I'm not going to be surprised if both games stink. Like, I'm not going to be shocked if we're looking at shock and these games are both kind of boring because the one seeds did what one seeds are supposed to do. Like, you play all season to host this game in your building. And if you lose a championship game in your building as a one seed with a chance to go to the Super Bowl, that haunts your franchise. That's stuff you talk about for generations. Like, remember when you blew that game? And they know that. So is there a coaching advantage here, Shanahan over Campbell, given that this is Campbell's first really big title game in the NFL?
Oh boy. I wish I better remember the points that my colleague Sam Hoppen was making earlier in the week when we did a show, an early preview of these games, because he actually sort of contended that the coaching advantage might be with the Lions, actually, at least in terms of making plus EV moves as far as like aggression in fourth down situations. Dan Campbell generally very aggressive, but kind of playing the percentages, sort of the new the new way of thinking about those situations where maybe Shanahan has been a little bit more conservative. And yeah, I think the stat you were referencing earlier going into that game against the Packers, when the 49ers went into the fourth quarter trailing by 7 or more, they were 0-30 under Kyle Shanahan. That was their first win. They were 7 down going into the fourth quarter. So, boy, if the Lions could get a lead and really work on it with the running game, make something big happen defensively early on, and then sort of just keep the ball control thing going with the running game and play action to Amon-Ra, and maybe a big play or two by some of those other receivers. I think there is a formula. Like I could see, as you said, Matt, maybe this game stinks and the 49ers just play according to form, and they got their scare last week against Green Bay and they button things up this week and take care of business. But I can also see a path to the Lions making this a really good ball game and possibly sneaking out with a win.
It's possible. I mean, if Brock Purdy throws picks, and we saw it in the Ravens game, he threw 4. Yeah. So, I mean, if Brock Purdy is the weakest link for the Niners, Lions are in this game, and the Lions could very well win this game if Brock Purdy plays the way he played against the Ravens.
Or against the Packers. He could have thrown 4 last week. I mean, there were a couple near interceptions that Darnell Savage dropped one that was right in his hands in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see Dan Campbell on the road versus Dan Campbell at home. Because remember, the Lions have won 2 games at home. It's a different story going on the road in the playoffs. It's a whole different level of pressure. Like, I'm wondering, is he going to be as aggressive on the road in an NFC Championship game as he has been all year, in particular in the playoffs at home? So, you're operating in a silent, very sterile environment, and you don't have any real concerns when you're saying go for it on 4th and 1 from your own 40-yard line in Detroit. Will he do the same thing on the road in San Francisco? I'm fascinated to watch and see, because the legend of Dan Campbell continues to grow, and everyone thinks this guy is, all gas, no brakes, and here we go. We're going to bite your kneecap on the way out, and all the stuff that he's, come up with and said. This is going to be a really interesting test. I mean, this is the biggest game of his coaching career, and Shanahan's been here. So, I'm more inclined to lean towards the conservative way this late into the season when we're in a championship game. I tend to like the guy that's not going to lose the game on a decision, but sometimes it works in your favor. I mean, look, I'm a Patriot fan. I remember John Madden telling Belichick to take a knee, and then Tom Brady goes and becomes Tom Brady and kicks a game-winning field goal and wins it and sets everything off in motion. So, conservative time in football sometimes doesn't work. And in the modern era, we haven't seen, it does sometimes benefit you to roll the dice and be risky, but it's Jared Goff. I keep on coming back to Jared Goff outside against the NFC West. And I'm like, man, we've heard all the negative talk about Brock Purdy, and we're not remembering who the quarterback of the Lions is. And everyone just sort of brushes that aside. And there's no history here. It's totally different. Okay, let's see. Let's see how it all kind of folds out. I like the total a lot. Where are you? I think it's right on point. 52 feels right to me in this game.
Same here. I don't see any value, so I'm not touching it. You like the total? You think it's right, or you like one side or the other?
Yeah, I was very close to doing a same game teaser and just pulling the 6.5 or 7 down to 1 or to a pick, to a 6 or 7 point teaser, and then pulling it down and going over.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And part of me says go up to 58 and pull it in, or 59 and go under. I don't know. I haven't. I've stayed away from totals here in the postseason for the most part. I was on a couple of overs that came in, but I was on a couple of unders that also didn't come in. So I think I'm going to stay away from the totals from both sides in both games and just take the side and see what's going to happen here in the game itself. And if we get off to a fast start, great. Maybe an in-game play or two if I want to go ahead and touch the total, but I don't think so. Any other prop bet in this game you like?
I like Jared Goff under 259.5 passing yards, Matt, for a lot of the reasons you mentioned. One is the overall splits, the home road splits.
Yeah.
Goff averaged about 10 fewer than that. So he averaged 269.1 passing yards per game during the regular season, but only 259.4 yards per game on the road and only 252.2 yards per game outdoors. The Niners have given up 232.3 passing yards per game during the regular season. Easier to throw or to run on than to throw on. 15th in DVOA against the run, 4th against the pass. I think the Lions want to run the ball anyway. And I don't know, maybe the 49ers get a big lead and force the Lions to throw, and Goff has to air it out 40 plus times, which is a sure recipe, I think, for a Detroit loss. But yeah, I think under 259.5 is a really strong percentage play here. And you referenced this one too, Matt. George Kittle over 60.5 receiving yards. I mean, Kittle is averaging 80.5 receiving yards over his last 11 games, and he's cleared this number in 8 of those 11 games, averaging 17.4 yards per catch during that stretch. Just racking up huge yardage once he has the ball in his hands. The Lions gave up the 8th most receiving yards to tight ends this season, and they just let the very pedestrian Cade Otton go for 65 yards and a touchdown last week against the Buccaneers. So plus you've got the Debo shoulder injury, which means maybe they go away from him and towards Ayuk and Kittle a little bit more. I think over 60.5 is a really good bet.
I am going to be very curious. Look, Lions fans, if you guys win, I'm not angry about it. I'm not negative. I'm not trying to pour water on your parade and have you guys be upset. Bring Eminem and everybody from the 313 and come on out and take over my city. I'm totally, completely cool with if the Lions win. Okay. It would be an awesome story. I like the Ravens more than I like the Niners. The more that the week has gone on, I've liked the Ravens more and more as I start to break down the games and dig down deeper. So there's more questions at the key spots for the 49ers than there are for the Lions. I'll give you that. The Ravens have their quarterback. The Ravens are relatively healthy. Brock Purdy, this is the biggest game of his life, really. And this is a team that needs Deebo Samuel, and Deebo's playing, but what are we talking about? How long does the pain meds keep going here for Deebo? Because he's clearly not healthy, but how long can he stay on the field? If he is Deebo and we see him run the football and catch the football and is the everything back that we have seen, could be a big problem for the Lions. Yeah. So for that reason, I like my 6.5. I like it under 7. I like the win. Ravens, Niners, money line, simple minus 105 parlay for them both. I think it's going chalk. If I'm wrong, Lions, come on out, enjoy my city, party, jump in the fountains at the Bellagio, do whatever you want to go ahead and do. I'm not hating on you. If the Chiefs get here, I'll be absolutely stunned, like straight up stunned if the Chiefs win. Which matchup surprises you the most for the Super Bowl?
I mean, it would definitely surprise me if the Chiefs made it. And I would certainly be shocked if we came full circle, Matt, and had another Chiefs-Lions matchup just as we had in the Thursday night opener in week 1.
God.
How crazy would that be? But yeah, the odds of that. What are the odds on getting a Lions-Chiefs Super Bowl? That's got to be like plus 500 or something. No, not that high.
Chiefs.
Probably close to plus 400, I would think, right?
Where does FanDuel have the exactas up? I don't see the exactas.
All right, maybe they don't yet.
They had them up. I think they pulled them down. They probably had them up for a little while, but because it's mostly individual game stuff. When they get this close to the game, they tend to start to pull these things down from a futures market perspective.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get back into. Okay, hold on. Championship specials. Oh, wow, they've got my field goal special going on right now. Okay. So is there an exact look ahead lines? So they don't have prices, but they have look ahead lines where, like, if it is Chiefs Lions, Chiefs are favored by 3.5. Total is 50.5. If it's chalk, Ravens are minus 1.5 over the Niners, and the total is 47.5. So if you want to just bet a whole who wins from a outright right now, Lions are 9-1. They're the largest dog to win. If you like the Lions to win tomorrow, just bet the Lions to win the Super Bowl. Like, just bet them 9-1, because then you're going into next week with a gigantic price, and you can work off that price. I mean, that's forget bet the money line tomorrow, bet the money line for the whole thing. And the Ravens are plus 160, Chiefs are plus 450, Niners are plus 140. Which is interesting that they're plus 140, given it comes down to who they play, because they're a dog to the Ravens. They're 3-point favorites over the Chiefs. So
Yeah, I
that
guess
came right in the
they're
middle.
just thinking that they've got the easier path this week, and that maybe
Right.
outweighs the fact that they would be a dog to the Ravens.
It's funny though, because you're right. I mean, it feels like that the Ravens line should be 6 or 6.5, not 3 or 4 or
Right.
4.5. It just feels like it's low. Pat, on the way out, anything else you want to get out there?
That's about it, Matt. Let's hope for a couple of good games. Hopefully Championship Sunday lives up to expectations.
Chalk. We're going with the script. We're going with the logo. Ravens, Niners, purple and red. That's what everyone's been saying. That's what TikTok loves to tell everybody. So the conspiracy will be alive and well coming up for the countdown to the Super Bowl. We will do a live stream for the Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday. Time to be determined based upon what the heck my life is looking like, because it's here. There's chaos. Hopefully I'm going to be sitting right here where I am, because I don't want to go anywhere near the strip during Super Bowl Sunday, but we'll see. Before we go, have you guys downloaded the Betting Pros app? You should go and do so right now. This is a great way to sync and track your bets by downloading the Betting Pros application. App Store, Google Play. It is free. You can seamlessly track all your sports books in one app in just minutes. You can view your performance across sports types, bet types, and books. You can follow other users when they're hot. You can see my plays on there as well. And you guys can track your betting instincts, how they're stacking up with other people in the market. Download the Betting Pros app today. Thank you for being here, everybody. Pat, great stuff. Best of luck on your bets. We're back in 2 weeks for the last football game of 2024, or the 23 season, 24 year, if you know what I mean. Super Bowl in Las Vegas. We'll find out who comes here coming up in 2 weeks for another Betting Pros live stream. Dog.
You're a smart man staying away from the strip on Super Bowl Sunday, man.
Yeah, I got no